Well, Durban residents have expressed their views on the remission of former President Jacob Zuma's sentence. While some supported the former statesman and the decision to release him, others felt Zuma had escaped his prison sentence. Many said they were anxiously awaiting the decision, as his incarceration in July last year was followed by civil unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. It had a catastrophic impact on the economy, resulting in job losses and the loss of 350 lives.
Everybody trampled him. He was a good leader for a while. He was actually a good leader, and then things went wrong. We all do things that goes wrong. Doesn't matter about my opinion or what he did and what he didn't do. That is for the courts to decide. But I think maybe it's time to let go. Maybe we've got more pressing and depressing problems at this stage.
My point of view, I think Jacob Zuma, they must let him be, man, because it is an old man, and I think he's also done a great job for the country when he was president. So I don't see any problem with him. I'm happy from my point of view. Yes.
I think maybe he have cooperated well when he handed himself to prison. So he served his sentence, then they released him. So like he haven't done anything. So like I think the court have done the right thing to leave him alone.
Former President Jacob Zuma got off easy because of who he is. If he was in contempt of court, obviously that's in the situation where he's broken the law, and obviously there's always consequences to pay when you break the law. So if he's got out and he is essentially not having to pay the price for his crimes, then yeah, he's got away with it.
Just leave him alone. Let him be who he is. Let him enjoy his retirement.
I think still the best for him is the jail, but I know they won't do anything about it anymore.
All right, now let's get analysis. We're now joined by teams by political analyst Khanyi Magubane. Khanyi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, did this move come as a surprise to you? I mean, the timing here is being questioned. I mean, do you think that this was some sort of smokescreen to benefit one individual, also taking into consideration that it's almost election time? Khanyi, please unmute yourself. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Perfectly.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think this was definitely a very well-planned and orchestrated move that involved the presidency, the correctional services, and the Justice Department. And it definitely was a move that was orchestrated to happen within the confines of the law. And we have to ask ourselves, what is the bigger picture? And we only have to look back to 2021 and the July unrest. And we can see that this was a move that was taken to protect the country's political stability in the run-up to the elections, because the supporters of former President Jacob Zuma have made it very clear that this country will be ungovernable if the former president is taken back to prison. However, because the Constitutional Court had made a ruling on the matter that the medical parole that was previously given to the former president was unlawful and unconstitutional, had to be upheld as well. That act of him taking himself to prison at 6 a.m. in the morning, in essence, made it possible for anyone trying to take any further legal action against this move to actually be nullified, because what it means is that he did uphold the ruling of the constitutional law. However, we saw the presidency very conveniently today making the announcement of the remission of 9,000 plus non-violent prisoners. And so, yes, Unathi, it's very clear that this was a smokescreen. This was a case of 9,000 benefiting for the sake of one politician that we know would have absolutely and totally caused chaos for the country had he indeed gone ahead and served the sentence. So what we're seeing here is state interest overriding the interest of, I would say, opposition parties or anybody else wanting to see Jacob Zuma going into prison and serving the full 15 months that he was sentenced. So in essence, I understand why government took this decision, but what I don't understand is why they're denying it, why they keep saying that it's just part of a regular presidential pardon or remission. Why don't they just come clean and tell us that this is why we did it, and it was actually in the interest of state stability that we had to do it?
And in fact, that's what the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has said, that the president's decision was in the best interests of, the country. And in some quarters, people are saying, Jacob Zuma is old and therefore he should be left alone. But most political parties that we've spoken to have said that this decision does need to be challenged in some way or form and maybe taken into review. One legal expert we spoke to, in fact, also saying that there is some small chance that the administrative decision can be challenged, But from an accountability point of view, Khanyi, what is the right thing to do?
I think the right thing to do is for the ANC and for the presidency or government to come clean and say that we did have to take this move. We know that it does raise eyebrows. Indeed, it does. And the accountability factor is very important because we don't want to move into a space where we're setting a precedence of sorts for any future occurrences of a similar nature. And what we also don't want is a case where we are promoting impunity, because there is a sense of impunity that is involved here, to say that, in the words of the book Animal Farm, that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And this is what we are seeing, because we know that Justice Minister Ronald Lamola could have taken this decision last week, last month, last year. It did not have to coincide specifically with the day that the former president went back to prison. So the timing of it makes it very clear why they were doing it. But the least that government can do is take accountability, which up to this point they are not. They are saying this wasn't taken for the benefit of the former president. It was taken because of overcrowding. But any, logically thinking South African can see through the smoke screen that government has put in our faces that this isn't the case. They did it because there was a bigger cause. There was a bigger decision to be made. Do we risk the country's stability for the sake of one man, or do we benefit the country's stability, and in that we risk being taken to court by opposition political parties, by many other interested NGOs? I don't think they're going to leave this matter lying down, but in essence, Unati, I don't see how they are going to win those cases, because this carefully orchestrated move was done specifically to fall within the confines of the law.
And I mean, is the ruling party here also maybe perhaps missing an opportunity? I mean, as you say, one of the reasons could, of course, be the consequences of what we saw in 2021, where people were killed and, of course, businesses destroyed. Could the ruling party not be taking this opportunity then to say, we are fixing the things that are broken, instead of using this as an example and in essence then getting away with it? I mean, especially because we are coming up to the elections where people do want to see some form of a government that is accountable, a government that is actually leading.
I think that the ANC may have also shot itself in the foot because of the move that it has taken, because they've given opposition parties fodder to use for campaigning, because this is going to be something that many opposition parties and many political parties use. They're going to say that the ANC has crossed the line between party and state, and that state resources and that state provisions are used to benefit politicians who are no longer in government. They're going to use this as a trump card to actually convince South Africans not to vote for the ANC anymore, because they're going to say that if you continue to vote for the ANC, then such occurrences are going to be happening. Today, it was the former President Jacob Zuma. Tomorrow, it may be another politician that will be protected using state resources, using state processes. So in the long term, this may not actually bode well for the ruling party. However, in the short term, this was, I think, for me, a necessary move for them to take. However, how well thought through was it? Did they think about the ramifications of this move in 12, 24 months' time? Did they think about the legal precedents that it sets? Do they know that, in taking this move, it could be used in future instances to let other prisoners out of jail? And this could be used, as a case, as an example. And it only, will be clear with time what the consequences of today's move is actually going to be.
Absolutely. Khanyi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate your analysis. Khanyi Magubane, the political analyst.